And that's another one I teased Terry on. Dear people. I thought it was a cutesy song again, you know, and I could see people going, oh, I really like that song, you know.
Tina Turner's husband gave her his kidney in 2017, but that's not the part that shocked everyone. She refused him 3 times before finally saying yes. During those same years, she was hiding something else. Strokes that left her unable to walk, a cancer diagnosis she kept secret, and a decision so dark even her closest friends didn't know. After her death in 2023, Erwin finally started talking. What he revealed about those final 6 years changed everything people thought they knew about their marriage. On November 26, 1939, a baby girl named Anna Mae Bullock was born in a tiny shotgun house on State Route 19 in Nutbush, Tennessee. The house was so narrow, every room sat in a straight line, and the whole place had no running water or electricity until 1943. Her parents, Floyd and Zelma, worked as sharecroppers on Poindexter Farm. Floyd made about $3 a week. By the time Anna Mae was just 4 years old, she was already in the cotton fields, picking sacks that nearly matched her size. Her hands became rough before they ever held a doll. This life of back-breaking work never left her. It built the fire in her that never burned out. At age 5, everything got worse. One night in 1944, her mother Zelma grabbed a small suitcase and disappeared to St. Louis to escape Floyd's beatings. He used fists and farm tools on her. She left behind Anna Mae and her sister Aline without a word. The girls were left in the care of strict Baptist grandparents who believed in heavy discipline and forced church 3 times a week. Their father Floyd tried to raise them for a while, but soon gave up. He started drinking, vanishing for days at a time. In 1950, he left for good, moved to Detroit, started a new family, and never came back. Both parents had walked away. Anna Mae was just a little girl when she realized no one was coming to save her. Still, something was growing inside her. At Flag Grove Elementary, she found her voice singing gospel in church. Her choir director said it was ungodly strong for a child. But life kept shifting. At 11, she was sent to Brownsville to live with her grandmother, Georgia. In high school, Anna Mae became a star. She led the basketball team to a regional championship in 1954, scoring 15 points a game. They called her Firecracker because she never stood still. She also became head cheerleader. Her energy on the court and stage came from the same place. It was how she stayed alive inside. When she turned 16 in 1956, she rode a Greyhound bus to St. Louis to live with her mother again. She hadn't seen her in 12 years, but the reunion didn't feel like home. Zelma had remarried and kept her distance. Anna Mae dropped out of Carver High School and got a job as a nurse's aide at Barnes Hospital, making 75 cents an hour, working 50 hours a week. During the day, she changed bedpans. At night, she snuck into East St. Louis nightclubs with a fake ID to watch the legends: Little Richard, Chuck Berry, B.B. King. In 1957, one night at Club Manhattan changed her life. She saw Ike Turner's band perform. They were loud, raw, electric. She had no idea then how far that night would take her, or how much it would cost her. She met saxophonist Raymond Hill from Ike's band and fell for him. Their romance turned into a pregnancy. He broke his ankle during a fight with another band member, panicked, and ran back to Mississippi before their baby was born. On August 20th, 1958, Anna Mae gave birth to Craig Raymond Turner. She was still a teenager, working at the hospital by day and singing in smoke-filled clubs by night. Hill would vanish from the music scene and later die in 1996 at age 62 from heart failure. He never looked back, but Anna Mae kept showing up. One night when the band took a break, she grabbed the mic and sang B.B. King's "You Know I Love You." Her voice cut through the noise. Ike tried to ignore her at first, but when she kept singing, he gave her a chance. By the end of the night, she was the newest singer for the Kings of Rhythm. They called her Little Ann. She even recorded a song called Box Top while pregnant, but it didn't go anywhere. Still, Ike saw something in her. He moved her into his house, gave her a room, and began shaping her into what he thought a star should be. Then Ike made a move that would change everything. He renamed her Tina. He didn't ask. He just did it. He picked the name after a jungle TV character and trademarked it. So if she left, he could just find another Tina Turner. She hated it, but the name stuck. Then came the violence. While she was pregnant, he hit her in the head with a wooden shoe stretcher. Later, he used coat hangers. He threw hot coffee in her face. He punched her nose so many times she tasted blood while singing. On their wedding night in Tijuana in 1962, he took her to a brothel to watch a live sex show. That was his idea of a honeymoon. But the music didn't stop. In July 1960, Tina filled in for a missing singer on a song Ike had written called "A Fool in Love." It exploded. It hit number 2 on the R&B charts and number 27 on the pop charts. Within weeks, it sold 200,000 copies. Sue Records paid Ike $25,000 for it and told him, "Make that girl the star." On October 3, 1960, Tina went on national TV for the first time, 8 months pregnant with Ike's son, Ronnie. Her belly showed, but her voice never wavered. By 1960, the Ike and Tina Turner Revue was born. They added backup singers called the Ikettes. They performed more than 300 shows a year. Crowds were wild. In 1961, 5,000 fans packed Kiel Auditorium in St. Louis. But offstage, Tina's life was a nightmare. Ike injected her with drugs to keep her energized for 20-minute dance routines. She was dizzy, shaking, but couldn't say no. He controlled everything: money, music, clothes. He gave her $50 a week while driving luxury cars and feeding his cocaine habit. "It's Gonna Work Out Fine" came out in 1961 and earned them a Grammy nomination. It reached number 14 on the pop charts and number 2 R&B. But behind the scenes, Ike made her sign a contract at gunpoint, giving him half of everything and full publishing rights. She made nothing while he made millions. Their 1962 album, Dynamite, sold 45,000 copies in a month and earned $90,000. Ike used coat hangers to beat the Ikettes. He punched Tina in the face during a studio session and forced her to keep recording while bleeding because the clock was ticking and studio time cost $100 an hour. In 1963, their songs "I Idolize You" and "Tra-La-La" both hit the R&B top 10. But then came a scandal. Ike had never divorced his previous wife. That meant his marriage to Tina was illegal. She was pregnant when they got married in 1962, and he forced her to lie in court under oath. If she didn't, he said he'd take their son Ronnie and disappear. The case cost $15,000 and ruined their image with church-going fans. In 1964, they toured with the Rolling Stones across 22 cities. Tina's performances stunned the crowds. Mick Jagger copied her moves. They earned $10,000 for the whole tour, but Ike took every dollar. Tina bought her stage clothes from thrift stores, sewing rhinestones onto $3 dresses, while Ike bought a brand new Cadillac. He once lost $6,000 in Vegas in one night, while the band shared motel rooms to save money. In early 1966, Phil Spector showed up with money and a mission. He handed Ike Turner $25,000. But the deal came with one condition: Ike had to stay away. The producer wanted Tina alone for River Deep, Mountain High. He rented out Gold Star Studios in Hollywood, packed it with over 30 musicians, and even made 2 drummers play at the same time. Spector called it his wall of sound. He made Tina sing the same song 42 times in one brutal session, while Ike sat outside the control room, furious and humiliated. That 3-minute track ended up costing $22,000 to make, one of the most expensive singles ever made at the time. Spector was obsessed with perfection, but America didn't care. When the song dropped on May 20th, 1966, it crashed. It barely reached number 88 on the Billboard charts. Some DJs refused to play it. In the South and Midwest, they said Tina was too strong, too black, too bold. And with a white producer behind her, it was just too much for the time. In the UK, though, the song hit number 3, and fans screamed for more. The Rolling Stones noticed. They made Ike and Tina open their 1966 UK tour. Tina's wild dancing blew away every crowd across 20 sold-out shows. But back in the States, Spector was crushed. He called the failure his Waterloo and quit producing music for nearly 3 years. The full album came out in September 1966. It sold 1.5 million copies around the world, with most coming from Europe. People loved it. But behind the success, Spector had paid Ike another $15,000 to keep Tina locked away at his Beverly Hills mansion for 3 weeks while they finished it. Studio players later said Spector, high again, made moves on Tina. She turned him down. Word got back to Ike, and the abuse got worse. On the album sleeve, Spector credited the Phil Spector Orchestra. He didn't even mention Ike's name. That was a direct slap in the face, and Ike never forgot it. Even with millions in sales, Tina barely saw any money. Spector made about $450,000 from royalties, which would be over $4 million now. He used it to feed his paranoia and addiction. Tina, meanwhile, just kept going. By 1968, Ike and Tina tried to take on the Beatles. They recorded a medley of Come Together and Something. It sold 750,000 copies and reached number 21 on the charts. But in the studio, things were falling apart. On July 23, 1968, after 18 takes, Tina messed up the harmony. Ike exploded. He grabbed a Fender Stratocaster and hit her across her arms and shoulders. She was covered in bruises. A photographer noticed her forearms looked injured during a shoot. Her face was swollen too, but makeup hid the rest. It was 2:47 a.m. 12 band members saw it happen. No one said a word. They didn't want to lose their jobs. Tina smiled through photo shoots, hiding pain behind perfect poses. April 1st, 1969 should have been a dream. They sold out Carnegie Hall. The crowd of 2,800 chanted her name for 6 minutes. The night made $42,000. Today, that's $350,000. But backstage, Ike was on heroin. At 10:15 p.m., he collapsed. Tour manager Rhonda Graham gave him Narcan to revive him. While that happened, Tina was putting on her makeup. He still got on stage. Barely. A session guitarist played in his place. After the show, Tina drove the bus 380 miles to Philly. Ike slept it off. They made it just in time for sound check. Ike spent $2,000 a week on heroin. That's $17,000 now. Tina got $150 a week. In 1973, Tina wrote Nutbush City Limits in 20 minutes. It was about her tiny hometown in Tennessee. The song sold over 2 million copies and hit number 4 in the UK. But behind the success, Tina found out Ike had forged her signature on 37 royalty checks. He took $620,000 for himself. She had no idea until she saw bank statements. He used the money to gamble. $480,000 gone at casinos like Circus and Caesar's Palace. When she confronted him, he broke her jaw. She needed emergency dental surgery. That betrayal was too much. It pushed her to the edge. In 1971, they won a Grammy for Proud Mary. It had sold over 2 million copies. The opening lines, "We're gonna do it nice and rough," were completely improvised by Tina after one of Ike's screaming fits in the studio. She turned pain into performance. But even in their biggest moments, she was suffering. During their Vegas shows that same year, Ike raped her with a coat hanger because she refused to take cocaine before the show. Bleeding and broken, he still forced her on stage. Tina was rehearsing 14 hours a day. She fainted from exhaustion. Ike called her weak and ignored her pain. He stole $50,000 in advance money from the record label meant for musicians. Tina saw almost nothing. On stage, she was a star. Off stage, she was broke. They toured Europe in 1974, sold out shows in London, Paris, Amsterdam, made over $1 million. But then Tina found out they owed $100,000 in unpaid taxes. The IRS seized their tour earnings. Ike's cocaine habit was costing $1,000 a day. They had no accountants, no system. Session players sued them for unpaid wages. The whole thing crumbled. In 1975, they released The Gospel According to Ike and Tina. It bombed, sold less than 15,000 copies. By then, Ike had been blacklisted. No one wanted to work with him. Rumors spread that he refused to pay union wages. Lawsuits piled up. Promoters stopped taking his calls. Tina realized they had no career left. 1974 was one of the worst years. Sexy Ida got banned in the South because it was too suggestive. Tina was performing over 200 nights a year. Ike beat her with a wooden shoe stretcher. It broke her jaw twice. She wore heavy makeup to hide it. She sang with broken teeth. Fans never knew. On July 1, 1976, Tina was done. In a Dallas hotel room, after another violent beating just for talking to a fan, she swallowed 50 Valium pills and 4 hamburgers laced with cocaine. She wanted to die. She woke up in a hospital 36 hours later. Ike told everyone she had food poisoning. 3 days later, he forced her back on stage. Her face was still swollen. That moment changed her. She realized death wasn't the way out. Escape was. At 2:47 a.m. on July 2, 1976, she ran. She wore a blood-stained white suit and sunglasses to hide the bruises. She had 36 cents and a mobile gas card. She hitchhiked to Los Angeles, slept in a friend's garage. Ike sent private investigators with $10,000 offers to find her. She filed for divorce on March 29, 1978. She left everything. She gave up $40 million in assets and took on $500,000 in IRS debt. All she kept was her name. It was worth it. In 1977, she told the world everything. Her book, Tina sold 100,000 copies in the first month. It was raw. She talked about being burned with cigarettes, being beaten during pregnancy, being forced to ask permission to talk to band members. New girlfriends were forced to watch him beat her, to learn the rules. She got death threats. She hired bodyguards. But the book freed her. She signed with Capitol Records in 1979, got $75,000, most of which went to debt. Her first album sold only 12,000 copies. She sewed rhinestones on her own costumes, performed in Vegas cabarets for $100-200 a week. Critics said she was washed up. She lived in her manager's spare room. At 40, she ate rice and beans, wore wigs to hide stress bald spots, and read brutal reviews calling her desperate. In 1981, Ike kidnapped their son Ronnie, demanded $25,000. Tina paid in a gas station parking lot. The tour grossed $100,000, but she ended up $200,000 in debt. She had to set up her own equipment, travel in a rented van, and perform sick. Some nights only 200 people showed up. By 1983, she was on food stamps, lived in a one-bedroom apartment in Sherman Oaks. She pawned costumes for grocery money, worked as a housekeeper. No one recognized her. She tried to rent studio time and got denied. She recorded demos in a garage. She chanted for hours every day. She believed something big was coming, and then it came. In 1983, she walked into the studio with 5 producers and a $150,000 budget. They made Private Dancer. The lead single, What's Love Got to Do With It, was passed on by others, but Tina made it hers. In 1984, she became the oldest female artist, at 44, to hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. The song stayed on the charts for 26 weeks. The album sold 12 million copies. It had been expected to sell just 50,000. She recorded 30 songs in 2 weeks, 12 hours a day. Her blood pressure was dangerously high. She refused proper treatment. She took oxygen between takes. She was warned about a stroke. She kept going. The tour with Lionel Richie pulled in 1.5 million fans. One night in Chicago, she collapsed from exhaustion. Paramedics came, but her team kept it quiet. The next night, she was back on stage. At the 1985 Grammys, she won 3 awards. In the Private Dancer music video, she wore a plain black dress and cried on camera. The bar in the video looked like the life she'd escaped. It was all real. Capitol Records had almost scrapped the album. They thought she was too old. Then David Bowie heard the demos and told them she was the best talent in music. He threatened to leave the label if they didn't support her. They listened. He even sang with her on his next album. In 1985, Tina Turner stepped into the dusty, scorching world of Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, and everything changed. Wearing a 15-pound chainmail outfit and sitting for 12-hour makeup sessions in the brutal Australian heat, she filmed for 3 relentless weeks. One scene, where she sat on a massive throne under the beating sun, caused her to pass out from dehydration. A medic rushed in, and the shoot had to be paused. That same year, her song from the movie, "We Don't Need Another Hero," climbed to number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 and sold over 2 million copies. It became her biggest hit since her return to music. She didn't just act in the film, she fought for the role. The director had originally wanted her to play a sexy sidekick, but she refused, demanding a role with power and strength. She got it. And that one move helped shift how women were portrayed in action movies for years to come. Just 3 years later, on January 16, 1988, something even bigger happened. Tina performed in front of 180,000 people at Maracana Stadium in Rio de Janeiro, the largest paying audience ever for a solo artist, according to the Guinness Book of World Records. Her Break Every Rule tour had already been making waves, bringing in over $30 million across 230 shows in 13 countries. That night in Rio, with temperatures soaring past 95 degrees, Tina collapsed on stage halfway through her set. She was rushed backstage, placed on oxygen, and hooked up to IV fluids. Most would have ended the show right there. Not her. 15 minutes later, she returned, grabbed the mic, and asked the crowd, "You didn't think I'd leave you, did you?" The crowd exploded. She had to be hospitalized afterward, but never let the public know how serious it was. She didn't want to cancel a single show, but while she was setting records and climbing charts, her past refused to stay buried. In 1985, she turned down a $1 million offer to tour with Ike Turner. She called it blood money. He didn't take the rejection lightly. Over the next 2 years, he stalked her across Europe, sent her managers threatening letters, and even tried sneaking into her dressing room in Munich by pretending to be a crew member. In late 1986, he showed up at her mother's house in Tennessee. That was the last straw. She filed for a restraining order in March 1987 in California, submitting evidence of more than 40 phone calls and explicit photos sent to the tabloids. He was ordered to stay 500 yards away from her. Even then, he broke the rules. Twice. That same year, her Tina Live in Europe concert film won her another Grammy, showing a woman at the peak of her power while fighting to protect her peace. In 1989, when she recorded The Best, a song originally sung by Bonnie Tyler, her label pressured her to be more provocative. They wanted shorter skirts, edgier dance moves, and told her that being 50 made her a marketing risk. She didn't give in. She fired the stylist who took their side and hired Bob Mackie to design elegant, commanding stage looks. That year's Grammy performance, where she sang Proud Mary with Cher, pulled in 40.3 million viewers, third highest of the decade. Backstage, though, she was panicking. Cher later said Tina had a full-blown breakdown just hours before going on, terrified that the industry saw her as too old. When she hit the stage, the crowd lost their minds. Billboard called it electric. Tina quietly admitted years later that she was seriously thinking of retiring during that time, but something inside her told her to keep going. In 1995, she sang the theme for the James Bond movie GoldenEye, and the video shoot nearly killed her. On day 2, she lost feeling on one side of her face, and her vision went blurry. Her blood pressure was 180 over 110. She was rushed to Princess Grace Hospital in Monaco, where doctors diagnosed her with a mini-stroke. She kept it a secret for years, telling the press she was just tired. The album that followed, Wildest Dreams, was delayed by 3 months while she recovered. She was 56 and had been ignoring years of hypertension. 6 weeks later, she finished the video, though you can still spot a slight droop in her left eye, almost unnoticeable, but always there. That moment was the first major sign of the health battles ahead. In 1993, What's Love Got to Do with It hit theaters. Angela Bassett played Tina, and Lawrence Fishburne played Ike. The film made $39.2 million, and Tina spent 3 weeks coaching Angela personally to get every detail right. Ike was paid $50,000 to be a consultant. When he saw them rehearse a scene of him beating her, he lost it, screamed it was all lies, threw chairs, and had to be removed from set. The director banned him from returning. Ike sued Disney's Touchstone Pictures for $5 million. He lost. Records showed 11 police reports backing up everything Tina had said. Years later, he admitted the film made him feel guilt he had buried for decades. It was one of the few times he ever said anything close to an apology. As the millennium approached, Tina launched her 24/7 tour in 1999 at age 60. It sold over 1 million tickets and became the most successful solo artist tour of the year. Her Munich concert alone brought in $15 million, but she was hurting. All those years of jumping, spinning, and doing the splits had wrecked her knees. She barely talked about it, but backstage she was getting cortisone shots and limping to the dressing room. After every show, she could barely walk. Still, she never said a word about quitting. That same year, she was honored at the Kennedy Center. She smiled through it all, but by 2004, her health had taken another hit. She had a full-blown stroke that left her right side paralyzed. She couldn't speak clearly and had to learn how to form sentences again. She hid it from the world, rehearsed answers before interviews, and limited public appearances. Her husband Erwin helped her recover, lifting her arm during therapy when she couldn't do it herself. Then came Las Vegas. From 2008 to 2009, she did 250 sold-out shows at the MGM Grand, breaking Elvis Presley's record. She made $1 million per night, but the truth was, she was in constant pain. Arthritis in her hips and back meant she had to take OxyContin and ibuprofen just to get through each performance. Backstage footage showed her with heating pads and assistants helping her walk. She said she sometimes faked her joy and just ran on adrenaline. She made $250 million from the residency, but later said the cost to her body was too high. Later that year, she toured again to celebrate 50 years in music. 90 shows, $147 million. But in Sheffield, England, she collapsed. It turned out to be acute kidney failure. She didn't tell anyone at first, just powered through with dialysis. In 2016, doctors found she had intestinal cancer, and by 2017, she needed a kidney transplant. Her husband Erwin gave her his. She turned him down 3 times, afraid she'd hurt him. The surgery lasted 7 hours. There were complications, 10 hospital stays, and signs her body was rejecting the organ. But it worked. She lived 6 more years. Right after her wedding in July 2013, she had another stroke. For a while, she couldn't walk or speak. She refused modern treatment at first and got worse. By early 2016, she was considering assisted suicide through a Swiss organization called Exit. Erwin talked her out of it and took her to a rehab center in Zurich. For 11 weeks, she relearned how to walk. Doctors said 40% of her motor cortex was damaged. She never fully recovered. She needed a cane or a wheelchair for long distances after that. In November 2016, just as she was recovering, she got the cancer diagnosis. Chemotherapy started in January 2017. By August, her weight had dropped to 98 pounds, and she'd lost her hair. On March 17, 2023, she made her last Instagram post. She warned fans that high blood pressure had destroyed her kidneys and told them not to make the same mistake. Just 68 days later, on May 24th, she died in her lakeside home in Küsnacht, Switzerland. It was 12:47 p.m. Erwin was holding her hand. The official cause was natural, but her cancer had spread to her lungs and liver. She was 83 years, 9 months, and 2 days old. Her entire $250 million estate went to Erwin just as she'd planned. Her children were left out of the will. Her sons had already left the world. Craig, her firstborn, died by suicide on July 3, 2018. He was 59. His note said he never recovered from the trauma he saw as a kid. Ronnie, her other son, died 4 years later from stage 4 colon cancer. He was 62. Both deaths happened while she was battling cancer herself. In 2018, her memoir, My Love Story, sold 847,000 copies in its first year. It was on the New York Times bestseller list for 14 weeks. She donated over $2.3 million from the book's royalties to kidney disease research. The final chapter was titled Erwin. She wrote it just months before she died, and in the last line she said, "He gave me more than his kidney. He gave me back myself."